Hello everybody. Today we're going to learn daily Tanya for Kaf Base Nissan Tafshin Pei Daled. So last time we learned about the sort of the ways in which one must prepare themselves in order to come into contact with the consciousness of Hashem, right? We said through the Neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu and so on and so on, and through that aspect that is in our Neshama. And so the first way is he talks about the breaking of the body. Now he doesn't literally mean that one must break or abuse their body, but what he means is that one must make it so their body is no longer a distraction from Hashem. So that's the first way. As we were saying, the second way that one must, the second sort of preparation that one must do in order to achieve this sort of consciousness of God's presence is the labor of the soul, which we're going to get into. And the second way is the labor of the soul, so that the great work that he must do is not too heavy for it. To sort of deepen its thought, to look deep and hard and to focus on the greatness of Hashem, for a long extended period of time. Because the measure of this time, the measure of the time it takes for somebody to go from a kind of conceptual understanding of Hashem's existence to an actual sort of embodied understanding, is not equal for every soul. Some souls are naturally more refined, so that right away when these souls just give thought to the greatness of Hashem, it'll right away come to the love and the fear and awe of Hashem. And he brings a quote from the Shulchan Aruch or Chaim, Siman Aleph. That when man sees that the great king, the king of kings, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, whom all of the land is full of his glory, Omed Alav, stands above him, and sees his actions, he will immediately come to fear. So some people, that's enough for them, like the Shulchan Aruch, the writer of the Shulchan Aruch. And there are some souls that are like us, that are not quite as lofty. And its place, the place where the soul is rooted, is not as high, not as refined. And it cannot find a place for godliness in its thoughts without great and very, very intense focus. And especially if it was made unclean by chataim, by averos, because one's averos separate him from God. But nevertheless, if it endeavors with much difficulty to strengthen very much its machshavto, its thought, with great force and with great difficulty, and great depth, to deepen one's focus on the greatness of Hashem, for a long extended period of time, this soul will at least be able to come to at least the lower fear, or the understanding that somebody's watching you. And just like our master said, if you work hard, one should believe that if you work hard, you will find. And as it is written, so there's a pasuk and it says, if you seek it like silver and like hidden treasure, you'll look for it, then you'll understand the fear of Hashem. Pirush, what does this mean? In the same way that man looks for a hidden treasure which is buried in the land, which is buried in the earth, that he digs after it, with great difficulty and with great perseverance. So too, one should dig deep within himself, in order to expose the hidden treasure of Yirat Shamayim, fear of Hashem, which is hidden within the heart of every person in Am Yisrael. So one needs to dig deep within themselves in order to find this Yira, this treasure of Yira. And this hidden treasure of Yira is the natural hidden Yira, which is hidden within the soul. But in order so that it should translate into action, and it should come into action as fear of sin, in order to avoid evil in action, word, and thought, it must be exposed and unearthed from the hidden places in the heart. And these hidden places in the heart are above time. They're theoretical in that sense. They need to be brought into an actual thought in the mind, in a particular point in time, not in theory, but to really try to really deepen one's focus on it. For an extended period of time, until this thought goes from being really theoretical to being almost like to coming into action. Which is to say, so when one deepens one's thought and one's focus on the fact that Hashem is constantly watching, one unearths their own natural yira for Hashem and translates that into something that has consequences. When one deepens their thought on it, he realizes that this has consequences, and that it can become something truly meaningful that affects his life. Mipnei Hashem, from fear of Hashem, hatzofim bebit umazin umakshiv, who is looking and watching and listening, and who hears umivin and understands el kol maaseh, all of his actions, uvochen kilotav belibo, and he searches through his kidneys and his heart, and he searches through his internal parts. And as our master said, look at three things, and the rest of that sentence is, and one does not come to a chait, to an avera, ayin ra, the understanding that there's an eye above that sees, ve'ozen shomat, and there's an ear above that hears, and the sentence concludes with v'chol ma'asecha b'sefer nichtavim, and all of your actions are inscribed upon the book. That means that Hashem not only sees, he not only hears, he also remembers. Which means every action counts. So make it count. All right. Chag Sameach.